We are about to view one of the most magnificent, colossal, and fascinating architectural complexes of ancient Egypt. It is located in Luxor, in the region that ancient indigenous Egyptians called Waset. Luxor and Karnak were adjacent to each other. After the invasion of Egypt by Alexander the Great around 332 BC, the name Thebes would be used to refer to this region, in keeping with the Greek colonial policy of modifying and changing place names. We should note that, in general, the magnificent architecture would be from the second half of the New Kingdom. And the second half of the New Kingdom would consist of the 19th dynasty. Well, also the 20th, but it's the 19th dynasty that we associate with Ramses II. Of course, we should note that the preceding dynasty was, in its own right, quite astounding. First, we have the Hyksos being driven out by Amos, and you have a succession of pharaohs such as Thutmose I, Thutmose III, Hatshepsut, that's the Queen Hatshepsut, Amenhotep III, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, Queen Tiye was the great royal wife of Amenhotep III and the mother of Akhenaten. She would also be the grandmother of Tutankhamun. The construction, in our view, would be largely, at least in terms of its early phases, would be largely in the era of Ramses II. Ramses II would pass away at the age of 85, and he ruled for about 65 years. Ramses II would dominate the second half of the era we called the New Kingdom, and in particular, the 19th dynasty. He would be associated with an era of literary excellence. This is the period when we have the emergence of the epic. And Lich Time also identifies the emergence of love lyrics and poetry, as well as the more didactic narratives in terms of school texts during this era. But with Ramses II, we also note an era of expansionism. One of the dominant literary texts and the documents, historical documents, that would emerge from his era, of course, would be an epic giving account of the battle. The Kadesh battle inscriptions of Ramses II have attracted scholars and historians in particular. What we do have in this narrative, of course, is an account of the conflict with the Hittites and the campaign, for example, the discussion related to military tactics. And of course, we do have a sense of aggrandizement on the part of King Ramses II. The king is depicted as towering over all men and slaying the enemy. And it is said that detailed battle scenes with the king at the central location, artistically depicted, and of course with some misinformation and distortion of what really happened. All of this can be seen in the inscriptions. It should be noted that Ramses II was a polygamist. He had about 200 wives. In the long run, he had 96 sons, 60 daughters. In other words, 150, approximately 150 children. And we know that the love of his life was Nefertari. Some say that she was Nubian, but the discussion on that continues. We know that 5 other spouses would be designated as great wives. But Nefertari, who died, by the way, in his 25th year of rule, Nefertari would be celebrated in numerous monuments, and it is said that the inventory of some of these monuments is still being worked on. But have a look at the columns. What we see here are representations of papyrus and also the lotus flower. And it becomes very clear where the Greeks got their inspiration from. Look at the bundles of papyrus. I tried to give a horizontal view to highlight exactly what is being portrayed here. And these bundles of papyrus clearly what we have in mind. And of course, when we look at this vertically, the enormous, gigantic structure is reflected. The Greeks and Romans were influenced by ancient Egyptian architecture. The Doric order or Doric style of Greek architecture would emerge around the 7th century BC. And this, of course, would be about 500 years after the construction that we have been viewing.